Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. Some crazy. I got some real-time horror story for you right now. Just came through a message from our inside sales guy, Joe, about some guy who called into the office. He went with his friend who's a coworker and part-time agent, and basically now he's living in his camper. Couldn't get his house sold, and crazy story with that. So we'll talk about that as well, kind of give you some insight. And this is stuff I see like every single week. I will talk about that. Just all kind of different things. We have the brand new market numbers for anybody that missed last week. Very interesting to kind of look and see what's happening. Last week we talked about the micro market numbers. This week we'll just kind of look and see what's happening. Overall, we have some big news in the interest rate world. Just hit another 20-plus year high. And so we'll talk about what's happening with that. Thankfully, it hasn't been slowing down the new properties going to contract that much. So we'll talk about that, kind of what's going on there. With that, some other great news for real estate owners here, and obviously everyone in Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach named the fastest growing city for the third straight year in a row, which is awesome. We'll talk about that. And it's really just kind of also kind of goes into how Myrtle Beach has been insulated pretty well in terms of real estate versus a lot of other areas which are not growing as fast. And we're kind of seeing that happen as well. Look at some national data, kind of what's going on. Some interesting thing about how many buyers are first-time buyers, how many transactions are cash transactions, and they're very, very interesting numbers. And we're seeing similar type numbers here, even all the way down to inventory and months of inventory on the market overall with that. And so we also have some other interesting info where America's homeowners are sitting on a tremendous amount of equity. We'll talk about that. And a lot of great stuff. The same thing we've been doing 14 plus years on this show. Just have one goal. The only goal here is to help keep you updated on anything and everything real estate related, to help you just kind of stay in the know and help you make better decisions with your largest assets. And for most people, that's real estate, right? And so we have all the information. You can always go back and watch these, listen to them. We stream on YouTube, on Facebook. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio on YouTube. You can follow me personally on Facebook or go to Sloan Realty Group. Look out and have those. We also have a real estate school that I actually own, and we have a scholarship opportunity. We're looking to add a couple great people to our team. And so if you're thinking about getting real estate, we have a scholarship for certain people that, may obviously qualify for that. And we're able to put you through school, train you, and help you with that because our team is always growing. And we'll talk about that on today's show as well. Yeah, so this is the whole why behind why we do this show. And it really kind of goes right into that horror story I was talking about, where everyone makes the same mistake over and over and over and over. Doesn't matter how affluent they are, how many houses they sold. They make this mistake of just grouping all real estate agents together like they're a commodity and thinking that they're all the same. And it could not be any further from the truth, right? Just like any doctor, any lawyer, any like most thing I've been talking about lately is just like owning a restaurant, right? Sometimes a restaurant, even the same restaurant, you have phenomenal experience one time and then a terrible experience the next time. The difference there is the people, right? Because it's a service-based business. And so you're talking about a service-based business, which deals with your largest assets. The last thing you want is some part-time agent or someone who just was a friend of a friend or a part-time person that because what happens is people don't realize that the most important thing that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing and one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period. Not the wall color, not the grass, being cut. It comes down to the agent you have and how they actually execute when they're selling a property. What most people don't realize when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. How do we know that? Because we tracked them all out, plotted them all out, and that's exactly what has to happen in the right order to get a successful home sale. And so what happens is you have one single agent who's trying to juggle all these balls and manage 118 different variables on every single listing they have. And so it's physically impossible for one person to do it, but they still do it. And so what most realtors do is the 3 Ps. They promise you the world to get the listing. Number 2, they put it into MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they'll split the commission, take half of it, move down the road, and be okay. And that's if it does so. And the crazier thing is that a lot of homeowners think they have their successful home sale, not realizing that they left $40,000, $50,000 on the table. I've met so many people that say, yeah, we did great. We sold our friend. You look up the numbers, they left 50 grand on the table. It sold quickly, but they didn't actually get the most amount of money for it. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And so we said, look, there's got to be a better way in terms of how real estate agents operate. And I grew up in the business, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, entire family sold real estate. Been putting up signs on my mom since I was like 2 years old. And I grew up in the real estate office, and I just always knew like that's what I wanted to do. When I got in business after playing football at Coastal Carolina, I just looked at the business and I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this, a much more efficient way. And I was at a big box store, the Coldwell Banker at the time, and it was me and 200 plus agents. They didn't care about me. I didn't care about them. And what I was surprised to learn is that they hated me when I did good things. So if I got more listings, they were mad at me. They were jealous about it. Even a lot of times, if I said somebody's name and number out loud, I had them take down the number of the lead and call them behind my back and try to take it. It was crazy. There was no alignment within the business model. It was all just dog eat dog. And there was 200 people there. It looked good on paper, but in reality, they weren't trying to sell my listings at all. And so I said, there's got to be a better way to do that. And so we looked and designed this business model that everything's in alignment. We have a team of specialists where each person specializes in what they do versus a generalist who's trying to do everything. And so what you don't realize when you have one agent trying to juggle the ball at 118 different things on one listing, then all of a sudden they got 5 or 10 listings. Guess what? The only thing gets done is a squeaky wheel. And so that's what you're looking at, right? Most home sales fail to sell, or we're seeing that again in this market where homes are sitting for 6 months, right? Or they're obviously going to drop the price because all the variables aren't getting managed proactively. And so it's like having the same person McDonald's do the front drive through, right? The drive through, the front obviously counter, cook the fries, do everything at the same exact time. And that's why the experience is not very good. And so I said, look, we got to make sure we can design a system. I designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. And so just a perfect example of like everyone makes this mistake. I just got this message from Joe. He's our VIP concierge on our team. And he's been with me for 9+ years. Awesome, awesome guy. He said, I was going to read it out. What he said, dude, the guy just booked is working with his coworker who's an agent, and he's a part-time agent. He moved out of his house. He's staying in his camper. His coworker / agent had him replace all the flooring in the house, and it still hasn't sold. The house expires Monday. He wants to meet with us today, right? And so this dude just wasted 6 months of time on the marketplace using his coworker, who was his friend, who's a part-time agent. It doesn't make sense, the decisions that people make, because they have no criteria in how they actually pick an agent. They make the mistake of thinking everyone was the same. And just like the same mistake this guy made is thinking that his friend, who's a part-time agent, can get the job done for him. And he's gambling with one of his largest assets. In this case, the largest asset he owns is being gambled with a part-time agent. And you owe it to yourself to have a true professional, right? If I get into a legal issue, I don't want the cheapest attorney. I don't want a part-time attorney. I want the absolute best, most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law to be able to whoop anybody that I'm up against. You should demand that same level of excellence for your largest assets, right? People spend 20 to 30 years building their hard-earned equity only to spend 15 minutes picking an agent. And here's the crazy part. They have no criteria in how they pick them. They don't even know how to pick them. They don't know the right questions they ask. They don't really know only way they ask is like, what's your commission? And that's pretty much it, right? What are you going to do? And so we start teaching people, here's the deal. Make sure you have a thought process in how you do it. Make sure you have a criteria in how you pick an agent. Make sure you ask the right questions, because you want to say, hey, what do you do? How much money do you spend on my behalf every month? What type of exposure are you going to get from my listing to make it different than anyone else's? And so those are the things that you want to make sure you understand and ask those questions, so you're not like the guy right here living in the camper 6 months later after wasting a bunch of money putting in new floors that still didn't make a difference. And so this is just one of the many that we get over and over and over again, which goes back to, like I mentioned, the most important decision anyone makes is the agent you choose. And so on the flip side, there's 100+ variables for buyers out there. It's a very difficult market. There's a little bit of inventory. And so you want to make sure you have someone who's experienced in what they do. They know the nuances and the ins and outs to help navigate the corners for you to give you some type of competitive advantage. And so the reality is the average agent in our marketplace sells 4 homes a year. That's 1 per quarter. And so the crazy part about that is there's not any experience in what they do. They're just doing 1 a quarter. They're going to throw you under the bus in 2 seconds because they're trying to pay rent next month. They're trying to put food on the table, and they don't have any deals. So they have no really leverage other than desperation. So that's what we run into. And so the reason we do what we do, right? We sell almost 800 homes a year, every single year. And we're able to do that because we have systems, processes, and people designed that are all in alignment, where everyone works together, and we're able to get maximum leverage for our clients. We'll talk about that here in a second after this next quick break. Market is constantly changing. Now, here to give us more insight into this is my friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. I know certain programs make it a lot easier for the seller. Which ones do you offer? Hey, Sean, in addition to our traditional program that sells your home for the top dollar, you have an instant offer, a multi offer, and a guaranteed offer program. I represent a large investment fund with millions of
We're looking to buy homes in the Grand Strand right now. And what kind of return can you expect from them? Here's what I'll say. Every seller's needs are different. Some need maximum convenience. We deliver that every single time. Some need the most amount of money. We have a program for that as well. We have a trademark program that gets sellers up to 5 to 10% more money than traditional industry methods. All right, great insight, and thank you for this update. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And consider your home sold.
I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, only real estate agent Myrtle Beach Realtors. You offer several options of home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers that time crunch, you can agree to sell it on a certain date after it opens.
It's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our approved marketing plan to sell to the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Market update, all kind of crazy stuff going on. We had crazy news we'll talk about in a second. Interest rates hit another 20-plus year high, highest I've seen in a long, long time, and just doing the business for a very long time. And so we'll look at numbers. Thankfully, it hasn't been slowing down the new properties going under contract that much. Obviously, we're in the seasonal market here. The summer, fall market is usually pretty strong. And so we'll talk about two types of numbers. We'll recap the overall macro market numbers. Those are properties that closed last month. And that's what everyone uses, right? That's the most important data when you look at comps, when you look at what your property's worth, because those properties close and you can look in that data. The only problem with that data is it's older, right? If it closed last month, it usually went under contract 30 to 60 days prior. And so in some cases, you're looking at data that's 90 days old. You want to make those decisions based on just that type of data. And so we have two types. We have the front windshield numbers, which I call, which is what properties went under contract the last 7 days. And that allows me to have a real-time pulse on what's happening so I can forecast what's going to happen in the future, which is how we're able to push the limits a little bit for our clients and get them more money. And so if you look at that, last week's show, there's 537 properties went under contract in the previous 7 days for $192 million. This week, 561. So it went from 537 to 561, which is good, for $205,364,000. So good news. Anytime we're at 200 million or above, things are good, right? A lot of volume being moved, a lot of properties being moved, and that's the area. I like to be at 600 or more per 7-day period, but we're very, very close looking at how high interest rates are right now with a new record. So last week they got all the way up to 7.49%. So right now, though, a lot of high-end properties, we're still seeing a lot of high-end properties move in. I mentioned last week's show, we just closed a $1.6 million property on the ocean with one of our repeat clients who's an investor. We're seeing a lot of our clients just bring a lot of money from up north in here. But in the last 7 days, there's 13 properties that sold over $1 million, which is awesome. In last week's show, there was only 8 properties over $1 million. This week, there was 82 properties over $500,000 that went under contract versus last week, there's only 76. And so inventory is actually down a little bit from where it was last week. And so last week's show, there was 905 single-family resale homes on the market in Horry County. That's just what I like to look at from an inventory standpoint. If you put new construction, a lot of those builders don't put all their data in there. So it's just really easy to keep a pulse of looking what's happening. We did cross over 905. Right now we're at 881 active properties. And so it's still a decent amount of inventory out there from where it was overall. If you go back to January, the numbers there were like only 364 properties under contract in a 7-day period for only 125 million. So now we're at 200 million and 561. And so still going pretty strong based on that, which is good. I do think our numbers will probably show up pretty good once we see August numbers come out in the next few weeks in terms of properties closed. Look at the overall recap for the overall macro market of properties that closed. Single family resale is down 21.9% for resale homes for everything. Single family is down 17.1%. If you combine condos and single families is down 21. Condo sales down 26.6% last month, which is pretty significant. Look at sales price though. Sales price is up 1.4%. If you look at July versus July, so July 2022 versus July 2023, it's up 1.4% at $375,000. For average sale price, we saw a decline at 0.9% decline at $449,528. The interesting piece though, if you look at month versus month, it dropped significantly. So if you look in June, the overall average price is $491,121. It dropped all the way down to $449 overall in that scenario. And so pretty significant decline if you look at just 1 month change, about $40,000 there. And so one thing that's kind of protecting price, though, has been inventory. Inventory right now is at 2.9 months of inventory. And so Myrtle Beach is actually below the national average of 3.3 months of inventory. And so that's what's holding up prices. That's kind of across the board. We talk about that a lot. I had an Uber driver actually last night said he's locked in at like 2.5%. They moved here from New York a few years ago. He's like, look, I want to move, but I'm not moving because my rate is so low. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people just stay put, which is keeping inventory low, which is protecting prices. So even though sales are down almost 20% across the board, prices still have been holding strong. So it's great news for homeowners out there, even people looking to sell. Potentially, we have seen, though, some of the first declines nationally with us, a small decline year versus year, which we just saw. And so I do foresee if rates keep going up, we will see that price go down a little bit. I don't that the question is going to be how much that actually happens. So we'll keep watching that and see what's going on overall. If you go to condos, looking at overall sales price for condos, median sale price up 4.6% with a new record for median price at $249,900. The overall average price of 15.9%, which is also a new record for condos at $299,133. So great news there. We're still selling a lot of those condos too on the ocean right now. For condos, there's 3.3 months of inventory overall, so it's still holding strong. The one thing that's a wild card we're going to keep watching has been interest rates. Last week's show at 7.37%. Right now, as of right now, it's 7.37%. But this week we hit a new high at 7.49%, which is the highest it's been in 20 plus years. And so that gets interesting too when you start looking at some of the second homes or investment properties. You're seeing some people play 9-10% in terms of interest rate, which is crazy overall, which obviously does hurt certain segments of the market. And so that's something I'll keep looking at. The good news is we're coming to that fall market. We see a lot of people that are obviously coming in. They avoid the crowds. We've been getting the phones to talk about that same exact thing. They like to come the shoulder season. So my overall advice there, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If rates keep going up, you're going to see prices decline a little bit like they are in other areas. Thankfully, we're pretty well insulated with Myrtle Beach being such a great destination for people to move to. But if you're thinking about selling, my advice is do it sooner than later, especially you don't want to wait to the wintertime, right? There's a lot more talk about COVID. There's a lot more talk about, obviously, interest rates going up even higher, some things going on with the bond market that's affecting that. And so if you don't want to wait to that winter season, go ahead and get it teed up now. Inventory is still super low, right? People are still buying right now, 200 plus million under contract in the last 7 days. And so especially if it's a rental property, if it's investment property, something you inherited, we're seeing a lot of that right now where people are cashing out at the top of the market, getting that cash, sitting on that a little bit and kind of seeing what's happening. And if you want to know more about that, you can always just reach out to us. We have a really cool tool, though. Spend thousands of dollars a month, every single month on our website to give you an instant, online, easy evaluation buttons. It gives you the overall value based on multiple different sources. So it's not just one source online. You can get an instant cash offer online right there on the website. And a lot of great stuff. You do that by going to blakesloan.com. You can also call us anytime here, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break, right back in a sec with a hot buyer alert and some awesome success stories here.
WRNN listeners, Blake Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home. Totally true, Clay. If you're in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee. Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to or will buy himself. And since you know that your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two more. There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you are looking to sell and buy,
Cool. Okay.
750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group. And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Hot buyers alert. My team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of buyers here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area, and we need inventory. Talked about inventory being very low. It's a super seller's market. And one thing we've been doing here for years and years is I like to put my money where my mouth is. A lot of people ask, what makes you different than anyone else, or what makes you guys special in that? And the thing that makes us special is you have a unique business model that's much different than anyone else. We have, like I mentioned, a team of specialists. We have 25 plus buyers agents, and all day, every day, all they do is work with buyers. And so I spend a tremendous amount of money generating buyer leads from across the globe for them to work with. And we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint, literally 100 to 1. If you look what the average agent spends, we spend 100 times that and generate lots and lots of leads. And so the value to a home seller, though, is that we take those leads and match them up to your property. We even have technology we've helped develop with a technology partner that allows us to take any new listing, aka your house, and reverse engineers the most likely buyer for your property based on their previous search pattern. So it's like, look at, Facebook or something that shows you a very unique. You ever had that weird feeling where you're like, man, I just thought about that. All of a sudden it shows up on your feed, right? It's very similar where it tracks everything they've done, everything they looked at, and allows us to be able to match up, and it scores the buyer highest to lowest on a scale of 100. And so we have our sales team on any new listing. We go ahead and get it, push a button, and it goes through all of our buyers. We have 73,418 of them, and it finds the most likely buyer for your property based on previous search patterns. And then through 2 clicks, we hit 2 clicks, it adds them all to a dialer. The agent can call them back to back to back to back and say, hey, we got a brand new listing that matches exactly what you're looking for. Do you want to take a look at it? Obviously they do. Why is that? Because they know who we are. They've been searching our website for weeks and months or years, and we emailed it and phone called it. And that's how we're more aggressive, right, in our approach than most agents that just get a listing, they put it in MLS and sit back, put their feet up, and hope for someone else to sell it. And that's the difference that makes us so much more aggressive in how we operate. You probably hear that in how I talk, and you've heard that for a long time here. Our team makes 16,000 plus phone calls every single week. That's our minimum target we have. And that's outgoing to our own leads. And those are outgoing to just buyers only. And so they're matching up buyers and sellers. And so one of the things we do is we need inventory. Properties like yours, we're able to sell instantly to one of our buyers. And what we're able to do is increase demand for their property literally by having multiple buyers on your property that our team's reaching out to. And so each one of the 25 plus buyers agents are getting that listing, reaching out to their buyer list, reaching out to all the buyers and matching them up. In some cases, we'll have multiple offers from 2 different agents in the office on the same exact property. And that's great news for a home seller, because obviously that's what helps drive the price up for you in that scenario. And so if you're thinking about selling, anyone that is friend, relative, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, if you like them, don't like them, say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake and give them my number. Save me in your phone, 843-808. So right now, active buyer count, 73,418 active buyers. Again, 73,418 active buyers. And like right now, so I got Richard Howard from Conway, South Carolina. I got Ashley from Spotsylvania. I'm guessing that's PA. I'm gonna open that in a second. Here, I got Bob Mess from northeastern Massachusetts. That's Spotsylvania's from Virginia, by the way. I got Sandra from Denver, Colorado on the site right now. I got Dan Castillo from Massillon, Ohio. I got Mount Gilead, Ohio, Pittsburgh, PA, Rockford, Illinois, Crafton, Maryland, Colchester, Vermont, Danvers, Massachusetts, Holden, Massachusetts, Valley Stream, New York, Brooklyn, New York, all over the place that we have buyers who are looking to come here. I got James from New York, New York. I got Tim from Grove City, PA. And so as you can tell, we tend to target the Northeast because that's where a lot of the buyers who see value in what we have here are. They sell their property up there for a much higher price. They come down here with a lower cost of living. And guess what? They see value in what we have here, which is why I've been targeting them since 2006, really. I used to be at Remax, and they made fun of me and called me the internet kid. And guess what? The times have changed, and that internet knowledge that I knew back then has really played off for us and our clients, which allows us to geo-target them based on their IP address, which is where they're located. And so if you want technology like that, you want somebody who's able to get the exposure you want, and somebody who already has 73,418 active home buyers for your property, reach out and call me, 843-808-SOLD. Don't be the guy who's living in his camper because he used a part-time agent who is a friend. And I get that question all the time, like, who's your number one competitor? Number one competitor is 8 people who have a friend in the business, right? They use a friend. The friend doesn't know what they're doing in many cases. They feel bad for it. And a lot of times they're giving free charity to their friend with their largest asset they own. And in many cases, it costs $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of hard-earned equity. And so don't be that person. Understand the difference and at least interview us and say, what do you guys do differently, and compare apples to apples in that scenario. So really quick, want to get to a couple of quick success stories. Our team's absolutely crushing it. Big shout out to Melissa. She owned a townhouse in Myrtle Beach that they use as a vacation home, but she recently decided she would like to upgrade to a single family home that her and her family come down and visit and have in Myrtle Beach, aka her dream vacation home. Before she could buy the new home, though, she needed to sell her current townhouse, and it was important to her that she get every drop of equity she can out of the townhouse. She can use that money to purchase her new dream house. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos. The virtual reality walkthrough started to drive massive traffic to Melissa's townhome. Within a couple of days, we had Melissa multiple offers on her property, driving the price up. She's able to select a fantastic offer, $10,000 above what anything's ever sold for in her neighborhood. We set a new record in that scenario. Now she can move on with confidence, buy her new dream home, which is super awesome. Also, side note, I bought with my fund. We bought 2 properties this past week, closed on 2 properties, one in Little River, one in Myrtle Beach. And these people just wanted instant offers. They didn't want to go through the hassle of having it on the market. And so we will buy homes. I represent a large fund with millions of dollars that's looking to buy property here. and they're just doing instant buyout. They give a fair price, basically sell it as is in its current condition, no having to fix it up, no having to paint anything. And they're super excited with it, super happy with it. They even take a picture at the end that says Sloan bought our home. And so if you're thinking about doing that, if you want that ease, you're able to do that. We have multiple programs based on what people want to do in that scenario. So also, Donna and Jay owned a very nice home in Myrtle Beach. You want to relocate back up north, be closer to family. They'd made some upgrades. Want to make sure they're able to sell for maximum dollar to get all their equity out. Unfortunately, they listed with a friend of Donna's who is an agent here. They received nothing but empty promises, no traffic. They thought the agent just put it on the MLS and did nothing. Thankfully, after 6 months of headaches, not being able to move back home, they were referred to Blake Sloan at Sloan Realty Group by an amazing radio listener. I came in, showed them the immediate problem, which is marketing. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, their virtual reality walkthrough, drove massive traffic, had it under contract in 7 days for more money than they had it listed for previously. And so if you want to be that success story, not the horror story, reach out, call us, 843-808 sold overall. All right, really quick, couple of cool things we're seeing right now. Obviously, this is a great news. A lot of people have been talking about it. Myrtle Beach ranked the fastest growing place in the U.S. for the third year in a row, which is super cool from U.S. News and Report. Which is super good. And that's something I've seen that's really isolated us from the real estate market and keeping values go up. And it says Myrtle Beach ahead of 4 Florida destinations that round the top 5, including Sarasota, Fort Myers, Lakeland, and Port St. Lucie, which is super cool in that scenario. That's also in addition to a recent article that came out from National Association of Realtors on Realtor.com that just said the top U.S. cities everyone wants to move to right now. And Myrtle Beach was up there very, very high on the list. Number 1 was Phoenix, Arizona. Number 2, Chicago, Illinois. I don't know who would ever want to move there. Atlanta, Georgia. Dallas, Texas. Number 5 on the list, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So super, super cool to see that. A lot of affordability in that. We're tapped into these buyers that are moving from out of town. We've been doing that for years and years and years. So if you want that competitive advantage, you go with the company and the people that are outspending everyone else 100 to 1 and that are bringing these buyers in there relocating from other areas. And that's why we're spending tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars every month online where they're searching at, right? I spend the money where the most eyeballs are, which is online. So super proud about that. Another cool thing we're looking at right now is overall market for the entire macro market. Very interesting numbers. You look at overall National Association of Realtors numbers last month, right? First-time buyers represent 30% of sales in July nationally. Individual investors purchased 16% of homes. And all cash sales were 26% of transactions. We're seeing cash move up in terms of transactions. And so we're very dialed into that. We're making sure that we use those numbers for our clients' advantage overall in that scenario. And that's one thing that you're kind of seeing year versus year. It has gone up a little bit. So first-time buyers were 29% last year, now 30%. Investors went up from 14% to 16%. And cash sales is up from last year at 24%, now to 26%. And so awesome stuff out there in any market. We're doing the same thing we've always done here for almost 2 full decades. And that's just keep our clients ahead of the game, making sure we get the most amount of money. So if you know anybody out there, do me a favor and say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. We'll see you back here next week at the same time.